Welcome to the Total Soccer Show. My name is Daryl Grove, and I'm joined by a man who just watched the US Women's National Team beat Mexico 6-0 with me. His name is Taylor Rockwell. Hello.
Hello, and yeah, I did.
Yeah, you did. Mm-hmm. It weirdly, because it was so long without goals, this doesn't feel like a 6-0 win.
It does not. Right? No.
Also, I guess, spoiler alert.
Yeah, I think so.
Maybe you shouldn't be listening to this if you don't know the score.
Probably not. No, I think, and I did see some, I think it was CJ Francis on Twitter. I think she was watching on a delay and was starting to get nervous and then accidentally fast forwarded and was like, okay, never mind, we're fine. And that is kind of the tale of the two halves.
Did the scoreboard suddenly go up like you were pumping gas, right?
Yes.
The numbers go up real fast.
I think, didn't I do that? I forget what game it was. I did that to us once where I accidentally fast forwarded to the live one and suddenly it was 4-0 and we were like, whoa. When did that happen? That's not good.
So this is, for those who are not aware, this is the Women's Concacaf Championship, which is also Women's World Cup qualifying.
There we go.
The US are in a group with Mexico, Panama, Trinidad and Tobago. Mexico is the biggest challenge to the US, and they just beat Mexico 6-0.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, that said, Panama second in the group right now. They beat Trinidad 3-0. So
All
you
right.
never know. You never know.
Okay, well, that's up next, right? October 7th is US Women's National Team versus Panama. But I think we can say that we feel pretty confident the US is going to cruise through this group after beating Mexico 6-0.
We can. I do feel
did I just jinx the whole thing?
Nah, you're fine. I do think, and even though there's a chance that if we beat Panama, then you've got the 6 points. Maybe you don't play all of your starters against Trinidad. I still feel like for poetic reasons, I hope the women go out and take it to Trinidad. Is how I'm going to put it. Yes.
Oh, but that Trinidad team. Remember, there's that whole story of they haven't been properly funded.
Oh,
and,
I know.
The federation hasn't given them enough money to.
Lauren Hutchinson here in Richmond. Oh yeah, I'm aware.
Yeah.
But you know why I say this, right?
It's a year.
It is the 1 year anniversary. It is 10/10/2018. That USA Trinidad game in the recent unpleasantness was 10/10/2017.
Ooh, I don't feel like the women's Trinidad team should have to suffer for their men's success against the men's team last year.
Someone's got to pay for this, Daryl. Maybe it should be the Trinidad men's team when next the U.S. plays them.
It was
How about
Bruce
that?
Arena.
Yeah, that's probably true.
All right, let's get to this game. U.S. Women's National Team 6, Mexico 0. The U.S. scored inside what? I'll have to check the score here. The third minute.
Yep.
Third minute, Megan Rapinoe has the ball in the back of the net. I'm going to say not good defending from Mexico.
No.
Yeah.
And it was strange to watch this. Whenever we switch from predominantly watching the men's team to watching the women's team, it is that weird mental switch you have to do to go from the team that is going to bunker and play 5 at the back and hold on to the team that is going to play against the teams that are bunkered at the back playing 5.
It's strange to watch a US team be so dominant, right? Yeah, so you really saw from kickoff, you saw Mexico literally lined up with 5 in the back, and the US lined up with, I believe, 7 players.
You are correct.
Across the halfway line, just 100% ready to go. It really sent a message of, we're coming for you.
It sure did. Yeah. It sure did. And it almost worked off. I think it was maybe a panicked flick on from Lindsey Horan rather than bringing it down.
I was a little disappointed, right? Because she flicked it on when she had way too much space. But even the fact that she had way too much space told you a lot about how this game was going to go, right? That Mexico would have players deep defending, but also you would be able to find space.
But exactly. But I do think these opening few minutes kind of tell the tale of the first half, because I think it was Mexico setting up to defend, frustrate the U.S., maybe look to play on the counter, but I also think there's a chance that they would have been very happy with a 0-0 draw.
Of course. They'd be thrilled.
Yeah, exactly. Once that first goal goes into the third minute, now Mexico, I almost think there's a chance that they were playing for damage control of, if we only lose this 1-0, that still works out for us in terms of goal difference.
Yeah.
And I didn't feel like there was a lot of attacking intent from them. They still had everybody behind the ball pretty consistently. And I also think for the U.S. in that first half, it became much more of, let's try to pull Mexico out a little bit, or let's try to do some things individually. And I think they stopped at times doing some of the things that were working for them at other times.
So what was working for the U.S.?
Sure. I think former co-host Laura Coots tweeted out that she thought she heard Julie Ertz. Laura was at the game.
Yeah.
She thought she heard Julie Ertz scream 3 touches, implying that the U.S. was on a 3-touch limit.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that was the case, but it definitely seemed like they were playing with a minimal amount of touches on purpose.
Yeah, I think so. I think it would be disrespectful to actually enforce 3 touches.
Yeah, if you're out there 1, 2, you got to pass.
Yeah, but you did see, we rewatched the first 3 minutes, right? And you really did see the US take somewhere between 2 and 5 touches per player. There was definitely a thing of don't dwell on the ball, move this ball quickly. And you saw some passes go where maybe the ball didn't even need to be moved, but it was moved, I think, just to keep the tempo, keep it going.
Exactly.
And I actually think that was important. I think it was a good way for the US to start the game.
That's what you do, because against a team that is going to bunker, the only way you're going to be able to really catch them out, aside from if they're trying to counterattack, is to play that ball fast. And I think the US, when they did try to play quickly and take minimal touches and have a lot of runs off the ball, they caused problems. And the first 2 goals at least came about from Mexico just making panic decisions in the box and trying to clear and failing to clear.
I think it was 2 failed clearances. Pretty much, we get a goal about a second later.
Yeah, I think one hits Lindsey Horan and then she crosses. The other one hits Lindsey Horan and she doesn't even need to cross because Julia Ertz finishes.
Yeah, I think Lindsey Horan was about to take a strike, right? But then it rolls into Julia Ertz's path.
Exactly.
For the second goal, right?
And like, I'm aware that they win this game 6-0, so I'm not trying to nitpick too much. Yeah. That said, I'm about to. But I think, so you contrast that kind of quick passing, like few touches, everybody moving off the ball, with at times, like, we both love Tobin Heath, don't get me wrong, but there's a few different sequences when she has Kelly O'Hara overlapping, or she has Rose Lavelle central, or she has other options, and she tries to take people on. And there's one in particular where she has Kelly O'Hara overlap.
20th minute or so, right? Yeah.
She has Kelly O'Hara overlap, and if she plays that ball in, now Mexico are scrambling back because suddenly their kind of semi-offside line they were holding has been bypassed. Now they're running backwards, and that's where you want the defense. If they're sprinting backwards, it means they're not necessarily focused on their primary marks. That ball comes in, it creates more chaos. Instead, Tobin Heath does a few step overs, beats her player, but ends up in the exact position that Kelly O'Hara is now standing.
Yeah, this is like, it's like Tobin Heath hasn't seen that scene from Goal.
Exactly. It's one of my favorites.
Where the ball moves faster than the man, right?
I've made the team that we coach do that a couple times whenever we have somebody who tries to dribble too much. And it emphasizes the point. The ball moves faster. Play that ball. You keep the opposition scrambling a little bit. But as soon as you start slowing it down and doing the Neymar thing of like, come at me, I'm going to dance on you. We even saw Kelly O'Hara.
Is Tobin Heath American Neymar?
You could make that argument. She is Tobinho, after all. But you could even make the argument. Tobinho, excuse me. You could make the argument that it even rubbed off on Kelly O'Hara. She tries to nutmeg somebody from the right back spot. And I feel like as soon as you're doing that.
Unless she was just trying to bank shot off the shins.
I mean, that's what happened. But it did feel like as soon as you're doing that, you're less focused on playing quick, fast soccer with good passes and good touches, and it becomes more individual.
I think that's always how Tobin Heath plays, though, right? I think if you're going to start Tobin Heath, you've just got to expect that she's going to try and take people on. I've never seen a game where Tobin Heath is playing 3 touches.
This is very true.
If she played in a training game where 3 touches were enforced, I feel like she'd give away a lot of free kicks for her 4th touch.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
but I just think
she'd be that player.
But I still just think that's the difference for me, is that first goal comes about from quick passing. You catch Mexico out. They're kind of scrambling. Then you've got the free kick goal that comes about. We talked about with Lindsey Horan kind of settling it. Julia Ertz finishing it. That, again, you're putting them under pressure. You're making them scramble. You've got a design set piece for the corner. And after that point, I think Mexico are broken a little bit. But you start really shredding them apart.
They really were, right? There were a lot of heads down, like, oh, what are we doing after the 3rd goal? I think the 4th goal comes quite soon after, right? That's the Tobin Heath header. Can we maybe get into the details of the first goal?
Sure.
So the first thing I noticed when we rewatched it is, even though Mexico were playing that 5-4-1, there was still weirdly too much of a gap for Mexico between the back 5 and the midfield 4. And Rose Lavelle spotted that and just kind of stood in between those two lines and was quite comfortably receiving the ball. I think from Julia Ertz, quite comfortably receiving the ball there.
Yes, I would agree with that. I don't want to take anything away from Rose Lavelle, but I will say, inside the first 5 minutes, I'm assuming it's Jill Ellis. You can hear someone from the sideline screaming at Rose Lavelle, and I think it's telling her to stay central and to stay in those pockets of space and not drift wide, which is what I think she started to do.
Yes.
And because she stays central, she really caused like so many more problems, because now I think Mexico weren't trying to step to her. They wanted to track their runners, but now you've got this person constantly open with 5 to 10 yards of space, not that far from goal, and it really did cause a few problems here and there.
And the telling thing to me is she sort of not mishit, but she it was badly aimed, right? A pass that I believe was aiming for Megan Rapinoe ended up going behind Rapinoe, right? I think it goes to Morgan in the end. Then it ends up going after a failed clearance out wide. Then it's squared, and Rapinoe does that nice finish where, didn't she sort of not open her hips up, just weirdly did a weird like exorcist ankle?
Well, she
to finish.
You know what I'm talking about? You got to open up the hips a little bit to do that. Yeah, she lets
but at the very last second,
she lets it roll across and then takes it with her right instep, like in stride almost, to just kind of pass it into the goal.
I'm saying exorcist ankle.
That's fair.
So that was 1-0 after 3 minutes. And then I think for all the reasons we just talked about, the US fails to score for the rest of the first half, right?
But I still wouldn't say that that's like troubling. Certainly not because they won 6-0. But even if they'd finished 1-0 and it was just the U.S. moving the ball a lot, it still would have been I think so, because I think it's still a comprehensive victory and you get the win. Like, yeah, you want to see them score goals and look dominant. We obviously saw that. But I felt like even with some of the stuff we talked about, with a few too many touches and a little bit of sloppy possession here and there, it was still the U.S. completely dominant. And it forced Mexico into making halftime changes. And even then, those changes didn't really have any effect.
So Mexico kicked off the second half in a way that I found really disheartening.
Yeah, that's pretty indicative of what they were doing. Yeah.
If I was a Mexican fan, I'd feel extra disheartened. So Mexico take the kickoff, few players go forward, and they just play this ball that doesn't even look aimed at anyone. It just looks aimed at getting it in the US area, even with no one there.
Yeah.
Right? And they just basically concede possession within 30 seconds.
It almost felt to me...
Maybe less than 30.
Yeah. It almost felt to me like their coach had said, look, if you're going to lose the ball, get that ball into their half. Like, I don't want to see any more mishit clearances. I don't want any indecision. If you can't figure out what to do, just play the ball into their half, and at least they have to build from the back as opposed to winning the ball off of us at midfield or in our own half.
Yeah.
But that was almost like when you tell a kid, like, okay, don't lose the ball. Like, you can't lose the ball in your half, and so whenever they get the ball, they just kick it long because they don't want to be the one to lose it in their half.
Yeah.
It felt here like that was basically what happened. It's like, I'm under slight pressure. I better just kick it long and get rid of it because I don't want to be embarrassed.
If there was an award for most thankless job of the night, it would go to Mexico's number 9,
yes,
Corral, because she ran down a bunch of stuff, and even when she got the ball, she ended up just being on her own, no support. Like, she looked frustrated, visibly frustrated. More than once, and I completely sympathize with her, right? There was just no way that she was going to beat the entire US defense on her own, and she wasn't getting any help either. And even the balls into her were not good enough to cause any trouble.
And I know this is kind of a bummer to say, but like, she was doing the Bobby Wood role of like tracking back.
Yeah.
And then there was like once or twice there was a bad pass from the US, or there was a clearance that fell to her. And even then, like, you would hear a little bit of enthusiasm from the Mexico fans, but really she still had like 2 defenders in front of her, and it was always going to be hard.
And actually, I want to give a shout out to Julia Ertz for her defensive midfield performance, because anytime Mexico did try and build something, she cut it out really fast, right?
Sure did.
She put a stop to a lot of things that could maybe have become something, but they never got the chance because Juliet's put her foot on it.
She sure did. Yeah, and she was demanding the ball. She was that midfield presence. I did enjoy there were a few times when she would get the ball turn, and I could hear her say like Lindsay, and then she would pass the ball to her. Like, she was making it very clear where she wanted this ball to go and where she wanted her teammates to be.
She was very much demanding it, right?
Yeah.
All right, we got a couple more US goals to talk about. We can't do all 6, but I think
we cannot, no.
Especially because Mexico gave up for the last 3 or so.
This is true.
But first, today's show is sponsored by Roughneck Scarves. Roughneck Scarves, of course, the official scarf providers of US Soccer. They have all kinds of specifically US Women's National Team scarves. But if you wanted to design your own custom roughneck scarf themed around the current US Women's National Team, we asked our listeners on Twitter, what would it look like if you designed a US Women's National Team themed roughneck scarf?
That we did, my friend. We got a response from Rug Chris, RUGCRIS. It says, the only U.S. national team that wins trophies on one side, and then the 4 trophies with the dates on the other side, including 2019.
Wow.
Confident.
So 2 things there.
Yeah.
A distinct lack of respect for the Gold Cup, which the US men's team has lifted on several occasions. Also, a presumption of winning the 2019 Women's World Cup. Are we overconfident here?
I mean, I'm just saying, first of all, the men's team did finish second place at the 2009 Confederations Cup. I feel like you get a trophy for that, don't you?
You definitely do not. It's the opposite of winning a trophy.
Yes, there's a lot of confidence about this 2019 trophy or World Cup challenge, however you want to go with that one. But there were lots of tweets that reflected that, a lot of optimism and enthusiasm about the upcoming World Cup.
Grey Hair Gaming says side 1 of his scarf would have the word respect with the USSF logo and 3 stars. Okay. Side 2 would say not enough with half-empty stadiums, turf fields, cut-in-half paychecks, and a TV schedule for summer 2019.
Yep.
You know about that?
I do know about that. Well done, Grey Hair Gaming.
Can we talk about the TV schedule for summer 2019? So as I understand it, the same day as the Women's World Cup final, it's also the final of the Gold Cup and the Copa America.
Correct.
Yeah. So on one hand, I agree that it's kind of disrespectful because the Women's World Cup final, FIFA should clear the schedule.
I was going to say, to be fair, it's not like FIFA were the ones in charge of scheduling this and we're well aware of this in advance. Come on. Well, you can't ask so much of a giant federation that's responsible for running global soccer. Come on.
Well, actually, I feel like CONCACAF scheduled
FIFA.
the Gold Cup final, CONMEBOL scheduled the Copa America final, right? But essentially FIFA should have overruled and said, hey, guys, remember, do not put these finals on the same day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They run soccer. They're in charge.
Yeah.
You don't get to pass the buck on that one, FIFA.
So, I mean, I agree that it's disrespectful, but also for us, it's kind of a day of, hey, we got 3 finals in one day.
Yeah,
so
it's going to be one of those.
As a TV viewer, it's actually kind of good.
It's all right.
Yeah?
We don't want to sleep anyway. It's cool. Whatever. We're used to it in the summer. Final one comes from @PhillyGreek11, who just simply writes gold, 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 and gold.
Is he gold member? Is this a World Cup thing? This is the first 3 golds are the 3 World Cups, and the 4th one is the 2019 World Cup.
There we are. You are correct, my friend.
Lots more confidence.
Lots more confidence. But there are lots of U.S. national team scarves available at Roughneck Scarves. If you don't want to create your own custom scarf, you can go there to get U.S. national team scarves or any international team, really. They've got them all covered, as well as Major League Soccer, USL, and the NCAA.
Yep, and specifically U.S. Women's National Team scarves, USWNT scarves
there we go.
at roughneckscarves.com. Any scarf you find at roughneckscarves.com, get 20% off if you enter the promo code Total Soccer Show. All one word, Total Soccer Show at checkout. 20% off at roughneckscarves.com.
So thank you to Roughneck Scarves for sponsoring today's program. And now should we get back to the women's game where they destroyed Mexico 6-0?
Oh, well, but what's happened to your voice?
The women's game. Yes.
So
I've become very fancy.
So there's a goal at the start of the first half. Have we talked about the goal at the start of the second half?
Yes, briefly.
Kind of briefly, right? Ends up Julia Ertz, after the Mexican team fails to clear.
Yes.
The backbreaker, in my opinion, is the third goal.
And
which
I think my favorite goal.
Your favorite goal? What? So this is the goal from the corner kick. It's the Alex Morgan header from Megan Rapinoe corner kick. Then Alex Morgan does the Megan Rapinoe celebration, which is nice. Why is this your favorite goal?
Because it was my reminder that the U.S. women's national team it can always be counted upon to have master set piece theater in their back pocket, and this, I think, is an example of that precisely.
So Alex Morgan is, she has a trailing marker, several steps behind her when she heads this in. So this isn't just a failure to track Alex Morgan. There's something more, there's something cleverer going on here.
First of all, moving away from Alex Morgan for a second, if you watch this again, note little things that give away a design set piece, like Julie Ertz making a dedicated sprint to the near post. But it's not just that she gets to the near post, it's that she gets around the defender at the near post and then cuts back inside, as though one of the options is we're going to head it back across, you'll be at the near post to kind of crash and tap it in.
So this is like run away, then run back in, right? I feel like we saw her do this later on as well, so we know that it's designed.
But then you literally had Rose Lavelle run away. She was standing in the middle of the box. She runs away from where the corner is being taken
Rose.
To the back post. Yeah, you had, I think, somebody else moving like vertically, or like Lindsey Horan holding place, I believe it was. So you had very intentional movements or lack thereof, designed, I think, to vacate space in the middle of the 18-yard box, and that's exactly where Alex Morgan goes. Then you look at Alex Morgan's run, and we were trying to figure out why did the Mexican defender just fail to track her? Was there just
Sierra, number 4 Sierra? Yeah.
Was there a moment of hesitation? And if you go back, I'm assuming there was, but I'm assuming it was caused by Becky Sauerbrunn, who is standing in front of both Alex Morgan and Sierra.
Yep.
And I'm gonna guess as Alex Morgan goes, Becky Sauerbrunn just makes a little step across, and that's what makes Sierra adjust her tracking run.
So we've watched every possible angle we can find, and we can't actually see Sauerbrunn block off Sierra.
Yeah.
We just know that she was there. We know that Sierra then is several steps behind Alex Morgan. But we also see Becky Sauerbrunn having like a stroll at the top of the box, in that it's almost like she should put her hands in her pockets and whistle and look up and to the right. Like, ooh, I didn't do anything. She definitely has the look of someone who's definitely done something.
She does, because there is one angle where you can see very far away those 3 players that we talked about at the top of the box, and it's like Sauerbrunn, Sierra, Morgan. So Sierra is like very much focused on do not let Alex Morgan free, because she is very good at scoring the goals. And then the next time we see her, she is a good couple yards behind Alex Morgan. I don't think that that's accidental.
She got Sauerbrunn. That's what happened. Yep. Can we also, obviously excellent delivery from Rapinoe, because she
100%.
puts it exactly where Alex Morgan is going. And it's a nice, slightly disguised header from Morgan, right?
Yeah.
She ends up not flicking it, but nodding it into the far post.
Yeah, I mean, she gets a good enough, a decent amount of power behind it. Certainly much more than they basically ran this play again a few minutes later, and she headed that one wide.
Yes.
Because she didn't make as good a contact with it, I think, because her run was a little bit late to get on the end of the ball. This time it was perfect, and this time it was in the net.
Isn't it a sign of the US's sort of dominance in this game, though, that that set-piece play worked twice and Morgan had loads of space twice?
I mean, yeah, because I think what that comes down to is at that point you're playing a demoralized team who are sort of maybe not even giving you like half the energy they were giving you defensively before, so that's always going to lead to opportunities.
And those opportunities were capitalised on by first Tobin Heath, who got a header, then another goal from Morgan, and another goal from Megan Rapinoe. I mean, I honestly feel like Mexico were, as you said, so demoralised at that point. It's not really worth us breaking down these goals.
No, yeah, I would agree with that.
Because the US had broken down Mexico.
Yeah, because I think we saw what we needed to see in the first half and in the beginning of the second half. It was the USA breaking through, then maybe encountering some resistance and struggling to deal with that, and then finding their way through in the second half by kind of going back to the basics.
My one question is, like, what would have happened if the US hadn't got somewhat fortunate and scored that first goal inside 3 minutes? Like, there's a chance that Mexico hold out a bit longer. If this game's 0-0 at halftime, it's a bit more panicky.
Yeah,
right?
but see, you just jump from third minute to halftime.
Yeah.
And I think that's the difference, is I think the U.S. continues to do what they do. I just think as soon as you score in the third minute, it's always going to be easy to take your foot off the gas a little bit and stop doing what you're doing, because suddenly it's like, oh, this was the team that set up to be very defensive against us, and they've already conceded. We're going to be okay.
So you think part of the no more goals in the first half is just the US being like, we don't need to score any more goals. We're not desperate to score goals in the first half. We've already broken them open with the first goal.
I mean, I think individually they were desperate. There was the one when, I forget who the two players were who hit it at the same time, basically, and it hits the post. I think Megan Rapinoe was crashing in. I think maybe Lindsay Horan was the other one. I can't quite remember. But, like, so they're still trying to score. But I think,
of course.
But I think if it's 0-0, maybe there's a bit more communication there as to who's actually hitting that ball when it comes through.
Okay, so US 6, Mexico 0. The next game is October 7th, which we can work out. Okay, so today is the 4th, Thursday is the 4th, Friday is the 5th, Saturday is the 6th.
There we go.
Sunday is October 7th. The USA plays Panama in the second game.
I just want you to know that I wrote that down, but just wanted to see you count out days on your fingers.
Yeah, well, I got there.
Yep.
I got there. The third game will be against Trinidad, October 10th, as we talked about earlier, like a weird repeat of the men's failure day. Assuming the US gets through the group stage, I'm just laying this out for listeners now, there'll be a semi-final against a team from the other group. Then we get to if we win that semi-final, qualify for the World Cup.
Yep.
If we don't, we have to win the third place playoff. If we win the semi-final, then we play the Concacaf Women's Championship game, presumably against Canada.
We shall see.
You can't always take it.
I believe they open their qualification campaign tomorrow.
Yes. So
or
the other
today,
group,
depending on when you're hearing this.
Exactly, yeah. The other group gets going the day after.
Pretty likely today,
Pretty
is my guess. Yeah.
Today. We also have 3 listener questions to answer today. First question that we have is from Scott Glack. It seems to be a Tobin Heath / Kelly O'Hara themed question. I don't believe it was designed as such, but it works for our purposes. Scott Glack wants to know about nutmegs. Scott asks, why is the nutmeg considered to be so embarrassing? Aren't there times where getting burnt to your left or right as a defender is way more embarrassing than a nutmeg if you still retain possession of the ball because you shield it, or even an accidental nutmeg? Why is it then that players, announcers and fans alike all seem to think that any nutmeg is the worst offence ever?
I feel like that's a straw man argument that Scott just set up there a little bit.
Yeah, the middle part especially. I know as a defender myself, if, say, Tobin Heath nutmegs me and she gets the ball the other side, it's embarrassing because you've been nutmegged.
Yeah.
If Tobin Heath puts it between my legs, but I manage to shield it, I mean, it wouldn't, right? Because Tobin Heath would beat me.
Yeah.
This is a strawman argument as well. But if another attacker puts the ball between my legs and I shield it and I win the ball the other side, here's my argument to Scott. That's not a nutmeg.
No.
Just putting it between your legs is not a nutmeg unless the attacker gets a positive result out of it.
The only people that have ever done that to me and then celebrated as I took the ball and dribbled the other way were for lack of a better term, idiots. Because it's just like, oh, I did it. And then you've that's great. That accomplished nothing. And now you really are, that is definitive evidence that you're only playing for yourself and you're not trying to do anything aside from do a little bit of skill.
What you've done is given the ball away, right? So let's modify Scott's question a little bit. So assuming that we accept that if someone puts the ball between your legs, but then you win it, that's not a nutmeg. It's not a successful nutmeg. Why is a successful nutmeg considered to be so embarrassing? Why is it worse to be nutmegged than for someone to just dribble past you on the outside?
See, here's the thing. With all that we just said, even with that, I still get a little embarrassed if that ball goes between my legs. Even if I turn around and we get that ball back, they're still but I had to work pretty hard to get that ball back.
All right, because you're 50%.
Yeah, and so I think it's just because the only way I can explain this is just that, as a human, I am substance, and therefore, if you run into me, the ball will stop. So, it shouldn't require me to do anything to stop
Yeah.
you. So if you put it between my legs, I have basically defended so poorly that I have given you an opening through which to play the ball.
It's like if there's a brick wall,
Yeah.
you try to go through it, there should not be a way through.
Exactly,
Right? But
yeah.
if weirdly there's a way through, then something's wrong with the brick wall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the other-
so it's your central solidity has failed.
Yeah, but then, and I would say the other aspect to it is like, you know, like you don't really play this game very much, but like I have lots of friends who play Megs, which basically means that at any given point you can be megged if you're walking around and they have a soccer ball, right?
Yeah. So Tobin Heath plays this in practice. That's
Yes.
why I thought of this. Right, she walks around US Women's National Team practice and Megs people.
Yeah.
At the Secret Soccer Shop, Secret Soccer Shop owner,
Oh, yeah.
and all the people that work there, they play Megs throughout the day.
The organization that I coach for, they all play that one. So
Yeah.
the Secret Soccer Shop, they get real angry about it. But I would say, I think it's still the same idea though, as when you're playing soccer on the field and you get megged. I think it all relates to the fact that you were caught unaware and that you're either through like just kind of being like in a lazy state or whatever, or like a not attentive state, or because the person you're playing against is so skillful and tricky that you kind of have stopped focusing on the fundamentals of defending and you're sort of all over the place. It basically means that you have lost your ability and allowed the other person to control the situation.
It's because it's the thing that you don't think about,
Yeah.
right? If you think about when someone's running at you, you either try to win the ball or you show them to the inside or you show them to the outside. Like, it's
Yeah.
not an option that you think about, is that they put the ball through the middle of you and run around and receive at the other side, because your defensive stance is meant to be such that you don't open your legs wide enough for the ball to go through. So that's the fundamental error, is that you're not supposed to open your legs that wide.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
then it's like the attacker's showing you up, like it's showing you, hey, you opened your legs that wide, and I just showed everybody that you opened them that wide.
Exactly. Because at the end of the day, if a person is faster than you, they can get around you. Like if you're in a foot race with somebody and you're slower, I mean, I guess if you ran a whole bunch, maybe you get a little bit faster. But generally speaking, that's not really a thing you can control. Whereas keeping your legs close enough that you don't let a ball go through them, that's certainly something you can control.
It certainly is. Another thing you can control is when you refill your contact lenses.
Good job.
Today's show is sponsored by Simple Contacts, the most convenient way to renew your contact lens prescription and reorder your brand of contacts from anywhere in minutes.
It's well said, my friend.
So you don't have to go to the optician, you don't have to go to your doctor. You can go online, use the app or use the website, get your contact lens prescription refilled and reorder your contacts, get them sent to you so that you can see clearly and hopefully don't get nutmegged when you go play soccer.
I apologize for going back to Tobin Heath for a second. We saw Tobin Heath get knocked off the ball a few times. She had some words with the referee. Maybe one time she suggested that referee do the vision test and make sure that her eyes are good.
I hope she didn't, because then she should have got a yellow card.
Yeah, that's probably true. But you can do that with Simple Contacts, right?
You can. So when you use the app, it's a 5-minute self-guided vision test that you can use to renew a contact lens prescription that you had but that expired because you forgot to reorder, because I know that is a thing.
Who would do that?
Who would do that? People. Daryl.
My wife all the time.
Yeah, people do that. You also, what you can do is, if you have a current prescription, because you're smart and got it renewed in time, you can use it to just use the Simple Contacts app to reorder your lenses. Use your existing prescription to reorder your lenses. You can get $20 off your lenses if you go to simplecontacts.com/TSS20 and enter the promo code TSS20, and you'll get $20 off your contact lens order.
Just a quick reminder, this is not a replacement for your periodic full eye health exam, so you should still do that, but it is a way to get those contacts, get them easily, get them in your eyes so you can see when Tobin Heath gets knocked off the ball.
That should be Simple Contacts.
Get them in your eyes.
Get them in your eyes. Once again, the URL is simplecontacts.com/TSS20, and the promo code is TSS20. Get them in your eyes.
All right, 2 more questions. Get them in your eyes. And then we will be done for the day, is what I constantly have to tell the kids I coach. One more thing, and then we're done. I just say it to them 10 times until the lesson's
hopefully
over.
people are looking forward to us answering these
That
questions.
could be. I just found myself being like, 2 more things, and then it's over.
They're not like your kids who are sick of you coaching them.
That could be. Whatever. It's always just 5 more minutes, Daryl. It's always 5 more minutes. Austin Floyd, why do commentators add a minute when describing a goal or some other event that has happened? For instance, a goal that was scored on the clock at 36:17 will later be described as happening in the 37th minute.
I didn't know that this was a thing that people wondered about, but in hindsight, I remember learning this a while ago and being like, oh, okay, I get it.
Yeah.
But it doesn't make sense until you know, right? So the basic thing is, if it happens at 36 minutes and 17 seconds, That is the 37th minute of the game.
Yeah.
The reason being, when you kick off, so when the US has 7 people at the halfway line ready to go, and Mexico has their 5 people back, when you kick off and it is 0 minutes and 1 second into the game, that's the first minute, right?
Yeah, exactly.
There's no 0th minute. That's why, right?
Yeah.
It's actually a sort of weird error in the system that you have to correct.
Well,
that's how I think of it, is that someone designed the system incorrectly and now we all have to say the wrong minute.
Well, kind of, but it's 0 through 60 is that minute, right?
Yeah, it's the first minute
so
of
if
the
something
game.
happens in the 61st second,
Yeah.
then that happens in the second minute. That's how it works. And it's the same thing, roughly, not quite the same, but roughly the same as I'm 34 right now. The argument that you'll hear sometimes is, actually, I'm 35. Because once you reach 34 years old, any day after that, you're past 34. You've moved into the next year.
And more specifically, you're in your 35th year.
Exactly. That was how it would be.
Because when you're 6 months old, you're in your first year of life. I honestly think this is a problem with math.
Yeah.
And at least the way we describe math.
I feel like when you say it's a problem with math, you drop the S on maths. And I feel like you're making that an American thing.
No, I drop the S all the time just because I'm talking to you.
All right.
Yeah,
I just feel like you're, just because you're talking to me?
Well, also, I've seen our download stats. It's mostly Americans.
Okay, but I can't handle a plural?
Yeah.
That's what you're throwing
I'll
at
tell
me?
you, when I go home for Christmas, I'll be saying maths straight away.
Well, at least you're not saying something ludicrous like aluminium. Then we're fine. One more question, Mr. Grove. Would you like to ask it or would you like to answer it?
I would like to ask it.
Sure.
It comes from Matt Koss. Matt Koss says, Halloween is approaching. What is your biggest fear about the future of the US men's national team?
Sure. I think I have a specific one and a general one.
Let's get into it.
Which would you prefer?
I'll take the specific one first. You know I love specifics.
My specific one is that Josh Sargent
as we say in the US, we love specific.
There we go. My specific one is that Josh Sargent doesn't pan out.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that would be the big one for me because...
Why would that possibly happen?
Why would it happen or why am I afraid of it?
Both.
Okay. I mean, it could possibly not happen because, it's really difficult to break into a first-team team and a first-team team in the Bundesliga, very much so. He's got lots of competition. There's always going to be money. They can always go out and buy another striker. So it really requires him to stay on form and continue to develop to the point where he can be that, every week striker. So there's a lot of pressure there, but there's also the reason why I'm afraid of it is because if he doesn't, it's a little bleak up top. I mean, we have Andrei Novakovic, but we still, he's still playing for lower tier Dutch. There eventually. Dutch teams.
He's in the Eredivisie top tier, but it's a lower end team from the top tier.
Yes, it's a promoted team, and then before that, he was playing in the second division.
Or to put it another way, he's with Reading in the Championship, and they don't consider him good enough to be in their first team squad.
Exactly,
So
and then we have Bobby Wood, who's where he is. We still don't.
He has an assist for Hanover in their most recent game.
That's what you want from a striker. And then Timothy Weah, but we don't know.
Assist.
But we don't know if Timothy Weah is going to be a striker or if he's going to be a wide player. How he'll develop there. So I really do think a lot of our striker options are Josh Sargent. Maybe in the future. Now, there's obviously other players who could come through, but it does scare me if suddenly Josh Sargent weren't even playing for Werder Bremen 2.
Yeah.
We would look at that squad again and think, that's troubling.
What if he ends up getting loaned or getting transferred to, let's say, Union Berlin in the second tier of the Bundesliga, or let's say Herrenvein, a not great but not terrible Eredivisie team? I
mean, again,
is that your nightmare scenario, or is that still not?
No,
as bad?
it's more to the. I feel bad. I'm assuming he doesn't listen, but Junior Flores. Junior Flores, who was at Dortmund, I think is still at Dortmund too, but we never really know. Is often injured.
Rumors about him doing something else.
He's often injured, and then is maybe on the periphery of the Dortmund 2 team, but just that sort of obscurity where no one really knows what's happening. I would say Travis Clark and I on tomorrow's Top Drawer Soccer show, we talked a little bit about that in regard to Eric Williamson.
How do you see into the future?
I'm just very talented like that. But Eric Williamson, remember him? He was DC United homegrown, then went to Portland. Now theoretically playing in the Portuguese Primera.
Yeah, he's on. I can't remember the name. He's playing for a team that's on a beautiful island.
CD Santa Clara.
Yeah,
but is not playing.
The Azores.
And is not listed in their first team. So we have no idea what's happening there. That's what scares me for Josh Sargent. And then the general
one.
The general answer is basically that the malaise or negativity around the men's national team doesn't dissipate. Because right now it feels like
I believe the malaise lifts.
That could be.
Yeah.
But we're still in that holding pattern, basically, right? We're waiting for a new coach, and I do think I have this idea that new coach comes in, we get this idea that, like, okay, it's a new system, it's a new campaign, we've got new competitions coming up, maybe there's a little bit more enthusiasm, maybe U.S. Soccer figures out to drop some ticket prices, and suddenly people are going again, it has a new vibe, we're all kind of excited, Josh Sargent scoring 1 million goals, this is great. But there's that fear that maybe it doesn't, and maybe there is that cynicism still of like, until we qualify again, I'm not going to trust this team, and I'm not going to trust that player, and I don't want this guy back, and I don't want that guy back, and why is Josie Altidore in consideration? And if those questions don't go away, then it's still that sort of air of negativity around the team.
So that's my fear.
Yeah.
The air of negativity.
The gloom of Halloween. Which, by the way, is my favorite holiday. I want to throw that one out there,
Is
too.
it really?
Oh, yeah. I love Halloween.
What? The costumes?
Yeah, because you get to be a kid, and, like, I don't know, you hand out candy to kids. It's the best thing in the world. It's the same. It's the reason why.
I've done it at your house a couple years ago, right?
Oh, yeah.
Fun.
Until I believe we reached the point of the evening when your wife said youths and then walked inside and we closed the door. But
the kids get older as the night gets later.
The kids get older and the Halloween costumes get less elaborate, and that's how I'm going to put that.
I'm a guy.
Yeah, but it's I'm a guy who's going to egg your house if you don't give me a bunch of candy. Yeah, but it's that same. Sorry, we're still on Halloween. I was going to say it's the reason why working in an ice cream parlor is still my favorite job. It's impossible to be like angry and buy ice cream. You have a little bit of happiness at some point in there. That's why I love Halloween.
Lovely.
There we go.
All right, so my fear is the negativity because right now there's a lot of. I think it's really obvious if you've listened to the show for the last year. I'm not thrilled about the level of negativity that is leveled at, say, Michael Bradley and Josie Altidore. And I feel like there's always a scapegoat on the US team, right? Like right now, I feel like when Bradley and Altidore aren't around, there's this next generation of kids that I feel like is really the first generation that I've really watched intently and known about when they were 15, 16 and watched them come up and suddenly become national team regulars. And I'm obviously thinking about Tyler Adams, Weston McKennie, Josh Sargent, Tim Weah, all those guys, right? What I fear is that the US fan base turns on those kids, right? And I'm really dreading the day when people are like, oh, I'm sick of Weston McKennie. Why do we have to keep calling him up? Or what does he, you know what I mean? Like, I'm really worried about people becoming disillusioned with the exciting new generation and like thinking about the next generation before these kids are even like 23.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of the phrasing, but it's like the level past what have you done for me lately into like, why are you still doing that for me lately? Like, it's like, unless you are then winning the Ballon d'Or and winning the Champions League, like that which is familiar can become boring. And then you want the next 17-year-old to come through and start instead of Weston McKennie.
You've potentially got a team of 17-year-olds, right?
Yeah, it's not great.
And the reason, there's a selfish reason
we have
for
that.
this.
It's called the U17 national team.
There's a selfish reason for this as well, which is that I want to be excited about the US team, right? And I don't want to have to be arguing with people about why you should stick with it with Weston McKennie, even though he's in like a bad 6 months of form.
Yeah, I want to be
not that he is right now, but I'm just thinking in the future he will be, right? 24-year-old Weston McKennie is going to have a bad season at some point, right?
Yeah.
And I'm just not looking forward to people turning on the current inspiration or like optimistic excitement kind of feeling we have right now.
I would be very happy to be slightly annoyed that it took into the second half for the United States men's team to beat Mexico 6-0. That would be fun. That would be a fun time.
Yes.
You with me on that one?
Yeah.
All right.
Do you have any other fears that you want to address with
No,
the
I think
US
I've pretty much laid my emotional self on the table. We're good.
I mean, the obvious big one is that they don't qualify for another World Cup.
We're not talking about that.
If two of those happen in a row, but that's an actual disaster.
I'll tell you what, man. There was that lingering fear of we came in here tonight to watch this game, and I was like, what if though? Like, what if they drew Mexico tonight?
If the women's team also and the whole US soccer thing is falling apart?
Boy. Yeah, I did have that fear, and that I would say though, once it's the boxer getting knocked down when they've never been knocked down, although the United States was knocked down for like a 40-year period, but whatever. But it does make you have that fear, and you don't get complacent. So I would say that I'm like not as worried about that because I've lived through it now. And so it sort of is like, yeah, it was terrible, but I know it. Like, I used to think like that would be the end of soccer. Like, it would be so depressing and so sad and I wouldn't be able to talk about it again. And here we are. Yeah,
we kept going, right? We kept going. I've got two more quick fears. One fear is that they appoint the next national team coach and it goes very badly. And then we find out that this whole like new general manager, men's national team general manager structure is kind of a sham and doesn't really exist. Like maybe they're like the new coach doesn't do well and they rip up the whole thing and start again. The other fear I have right now is that it's actually Greg Berhalter and they've already decided that he's the coach and they're just not telling us that they're not appointed until after the Major League Soccer season. I'm slightly worried that just because of like the talk seems to be out there that they've already decided on Greg Berhalter and they just haven't told us. If that's the case, that would be a fear realised for me, because it would say that this is the same old US soccer where they've kept things quiet and not been fully transparent.
100%. Yeah, I'm with you on that one. That if it came out that basically they didn't want to announce, oh, it's this guy, but for fear that everybody would be like, oh, of course, MLS, like you're not even exploring.
Yeah, Jay Berhalter's brother.
Yeah, and you're not even looking at Tata Martino or any of the other options that people wanted to see interviewed.
Like if the coaching search was a sham. Yeah,
I feel like if there's a chance that they didn't announce Berhalter because of that fear, but then it came out that they just waited a month.
Yeah,
that's not going to look good.
It's not, is it? And I'm saying that as someone who is fine with Greg Berhalter as the men's national team coach, but I wouldn't be fine with if the process was we decided, but then we pretended to have a process, and now, oh, the MLS season's over. Here's Greg Berhalter, everybody.
All right, I think midway through we went into like lessons that I teach, the little kids I coach.
Yeah.
So the 5 more minutes, it always helps. I'm just gonna say this: just tell the truth. Just tell the truth. Just be honest.
I feel like everybody should take that approach to life.
Yeah.
All right. Well, the truth is that the US women's national team beat Mexico.
They sure did.
6-0. For all the minor little complaints we had, it's obviously a good result. Right?
I'm furious.
There's no
throwing papers down, Matt.
There's no quibbling with it. I kind of wanted to work myself up into some frustration that they didn't score again in the first half. But I mean, they scored in the third minute. They earned the right to not have to keep scoring.
Yeah, I think they're doing all right.
All right. So we will keep an eye on what happens in the next game against Panama. There'll be no Friday Total Soccer Show, but we'll be back on Monday with our weekend review where, with our new setup, we're going to review 2 or 3 key games in a bit more detail than usual.
Yeah, that's the plan. I like that plan. Yeah, we focus on someone specific. Maybe we get into a few highlights here and there, but there we are.
So here's one dangerous request I'm going to make, one dangerous suggestion. If you know of a game that was really, really good, right? If maybe there's a game in the Bundesliga or the Eredivisie, tweet it at us and let us know, hey, this game was incredible, you should watch it. I'm not going to guarantee that we will, but at least it'll get our attention and we'll take a look at it. Fair? All right, Taylor Rockwell and your lovely Major League Soccer All-Star hat. Thank you for taking the time to talk to me today.
Right back at you, buddy.
Listeners, thank you for listening, and we'll talk to you again on Monday.